So anyway, welcome Chase Erkins, our new board member. He was sworn in a couple of weeks ago, and there's a couple of slides that we'll have identifying that in the main portion of the meeting. However, Chase, every quarter what we do is a work session where it's a chance for the board to hear from the key directors of my staff on what's going on, what's happening, bring you up to speed, or certainly any guests, the direction we're going, things that have been happening. Predominantly, we look forward. We try to, what's happened has happened, so we try to look forward. So it is an opportunity for the board members to ask questions of the team, whatever that might be. So welcome. With that, so we're going to start with Cody Lund, our Assistant Executive Director. Cody oversees the operating department's food and beverage operations, our Ungerbach representative and IT director report directly to Cody. So,
right, thank you, board members. Welcome, Chase, to the board. I'll kind of give you guys a brief update here on the last quarter. Like Pat said, we usually look forward on this. I'm going to do a quick little review of the last quarter, just of events that we've had some great success with. I think it's worth highlighting the success of the sales and events team, their efforts in keeping previously booked business on the calendar so soon after COVID in particular. We've had lots and lots of conventions, short-term bookings. From the convention side, we've had WASHNA, the Hostage Negotiator Association. Tom and Jerry was a group that represented National Guard. We've had several dance groups. More recently, we've had Idaho Youth Ranches Wine, Women, and Shoes, Boise Metro Chamber CEOs Speaker Series, the State Dental Association, and the Association of Idaho Cities. This speaks volumes to the staff and what we've been able to do coming out of COVID, with a smaller staff than what we've normally been able to do these types of events with. But also, it just highlights the uptick in demand and what we're seeing in particular from just the region, but in the industry as a whole, with the market is looking very, very strong, and Boise is positioned very, very well for these types of events, considering the rest of the region that we belong to is pretty much shut down for the most part. So we are one of the few venues that can actually do events right now, and I think that's benefiting us significantly. We've also had an uptick in demand on more of the short-term bookings. We've had Title I, Allied, Simplot. Title I is booked several times over the last few months. That's kind of been a repeat business, which we're finding that to be a great filler on the calendar in between these association business. We've had great teamwork. Like I said, stress the importance of the board's decision in supporting our team over the last year in particular. We would not have been able to do any of these previously, especially the larger events from the association side, if we did not have the support of the board to maintain the most essential parts of our team, in particular management, director level. That's one thing that we would not, like I said, we wouldn't be able to do them. I'm talking to other convention centers in Tacoma and other places where they're not able to do over 100 people because they don't have the staff. They laid off. So I just want to highlight that we appreciate the board's decision in supporting our staff last year. And I think we positioned ourselves very, very well coming out of this. We're going to be able to rebound in a much quicker way. I just want to read a couple comment cards from our clients because I think it really speaks in particularly to the level of service that we continue to provide even with our smaller staff. This one was from an event that actually took place this last weekend at the Idaho Counseling Association. The client's feedback was great to be back at Boise Center, and it's nice to know service and quality have not been affected. Everything was 100% great, but it always is. Thank you. That was from Jack Herring from the Idaho Counseling Association. We received a few as well from the Dental Association that I thought I'd read. Heather and catering team bent over backwards for us. Thank you. The AV team hustled and made things happen. Overall, your entire staff exceeded expectations. Again, another one from ISDA. Everything was beyond wonderful. Service was exceptional. Food was amazing. You exceeded our expectations. Scott was awesome. Thank you, Mike, Heather, and everyone. Sorry, I cannot think of all the names. Thank you. But what this does is it really sends a message to me as leading the two departments from operations and events that our team isn't missing the mark. We're not slowly upticking back into what the level of services that we've had. We're providing that same level of service to our clients that we've always had, and their expectations are being met or exceeded every step of the way. So again, can't stress the appreciation I have from the board's support to keep the team whole and put us in a position for this kind of success. I know I've talked to this for several different quarters over. It'll probably be one of my last quarters that I highlight this team in particular this much, but I continue to celebrate our AV team and their ability to generate revenue during COVID from Studio 430 and taking care of our clients just in a time where things were a little bit weird and unique. In particular, this is going to give us an opportunity to put us in front of the team here, the AV team, in front of several of our clients that we don't do our AV in-house with them. So this was an opportunity to showcase our skills for them to see us in action. And I think coming out of COVID, we're going to have some opportunities to make some inroads on some of these groups where they haven't used us as the in-house AV provider. So again, there was a lot of revenue generated from that team during COVID, but I also think it sets us up in the future to really establish ourselves as a true AV provider for the Valley. So we're excited about that. And we continue to see strong demand for groups wanting to meet. I just caught wind actually from my senior event manager that the July 2022 is looking to be almost completely full with associations. So we'll only have little pickups here and there of business, which probably will be a record July for us coming out of this. So that's very exciting as the calendar is looking super strong in July of 22. And then I'll just highlight the strength of the remainder of the year as it currently looks, just with a few events. We've got a booked calendar for our fourth quarter. We're anticipating it being close to a record-breaking fourth quarter as well. We've got Albertsons Open, which we had to do a little bit unique this year. We're going to be doing an offsite because the building got booked before they made their decision coming out of COVID that they were going to do an event. That speaks well to the demand, number one, but also we have the ability to do offsite catering. So we took that opportunity and we're going to go ahead and serve about 800 or 900 people out on the golf course. Great piece of revenue and business. Shortly after that, in late August, we're going to be doing the Jaden DeLuca Foundation, which is about 900 people. And when I say 900 people to my counterparts in the region, their eyes get really big, their jaws fall down because they're doing 100 and 200 people. And that's in larger cities than Boise significantly. So again, I think it speaks very well. We've got Tree Fort coming in. We've partnered with them. Festival of Trees is coming back and they're going to use both buildings for the first time. We've actually incentivized them to try it out east. And I think that's going to be a benefit going forward. That event naturally takes place over the holidays, in particular Thanksgiving, when we don't have a lot of business being booked. So getting them to utilize the East Building, I think, is going to be a big benefit. So we're kind of incentivizing this year by offering it to them at a discounted rate. But I believe going forward, through the walkthrough that they did, they saw the value in the additional space, and the ability to spread everybody out is still a concern for the hospital this year. So for them, it's kind of a win-win, but we get to see Festival of Trees come back.
Madam Chair, Cody,
Yes.
what is our maximum
Maximum as far as
an event?
right now, as far as the ability with the staff we've got, we're not comfortable going over about the 900, that Jaden DeLuca Foundation. If we take another food and beverage event that night, we're going to have a talk as a team as a whole, because we are just making sure, we want to make sure the levels of service, the staffing levels are the same that our clients have expected in the past. So right now, going into the fourth quarter, that 900 number is really what we're looking at. But as far as the building's capacity, when before COVID, we were doing a group for 800 and a group for 800, or 1,000 and 800, depending on how they were using the facility. So with max capacity, it depends how the nature of those events fill the space, I guess would be my answer to that.
Well, what's the largest number we've done?
That was about 1,500, and that was CSTE when we first opened. That would be our largest event. I know the board partnered on that. We supported a lot of they stayed in about 12 or 13 different hotels, and we supported the transportation between the convention center and those hotels. So that was right during the first part of our expansion. Again, that's a unique type of business because we didn't feed them here. So that piece, we pushed them out and all over downtown. We actually had a lot of ambassadors out on the plaza during when they broke for lunch, and we would help them kind of distribute them amongst downtown's restaurants in a way that they could be fed, and we weren't overflowing different restaurants for long wait times. So
Thank you.
yep, absolutely. So with those events coming back, and like I said, Jaden DeLuca being 900, we're looking at staffing, and staffing continues to be for the entire Valley, but also for the industry and for the entire United States for the most part, is struggling on this. So first I want to highlight the staff that has returned, because I think that really speaks to our culture. Wowgistics is one of what we've branded our culture under. And we have got back several staff members that have been either furloughed or laid off over the last year, and they've come back because of our culture, because of how we operate, how we do business, how we lead. One of those people is Pam Martin, has come back as an event manager. She took a furlough or a layoff for an extended period of time. Emma Phobes from F&B is food and beverage captain. Tawny Whalen, Chris Olofsson out of culinary, Marcus Mullen out of culinary, Wayne Cohen, custodial, Lewis Anderson, custodial. Several operations staff, Ivan, Phil Contreras, steward supervisor. The list goes on that we've pulled back when we called these people and said, hey, we've got work for you. Are you guys wanting to come back? Some of them had other jobs, some of them had other side gigs, and they came back. So I think this speaks again volumes to our culture and what we've been able to do prior to COVID, but even through COVID, and touching base with those staff. We had managers touching base with them quarterly and making sure that they were doing all right. And I think that investment is seeing its returns. We've also been able to celebrate the promotion of Marissa Huffman, who was moved from an event coordinator position to an event manager. And then Matt Williams, who was an operations supervisor, who now filled the event coordinator position. So we've had some internal movement and promotions from within through the last year. So that's been kind of fun to see those developments. And I can tell you, it speaks to our culture because one of our food and beverage staff came back and actually saw Matt for the first time in a tie and said, and me and Nick in particular, my director of operations, have been telling people, there's a lot of avenues to climb the ladder here. And he came to us and said, you guys have been telling me this for a long time, but it kind of was a wake-up call when he came back and he saw his coworker in a tie and had stayed on and worked in several different roles for our facility. He's been a bartender, operations staff, and the doors finally were opening up for him. So again, I think that just speaks to our culture and what the impact it has on the other staff that are coming back and returning and seeing what we've done. So with those challenges, we've got some solutions that we've presented to the group, and we're using a lot of different avenues to try to look at staffing in a new way. One of those, we've hired an HR specialist and lead recruiter, and that's Megan Maloff. She's done a great job so far, hitting the ground running. We are setting her up with some goals of where we need to be on certain numbers of staff levels for what events we have to have. So by August for the Jaden DeLuca Foundation, where we need to be on the F&B server side, where we need to be on the operations side. And she understands those marks and has done a great job in making sure we're looking down every avenue we can. One of those avenues is it's an app called Bacon. They're actually a chamber member recently. They came and presented to us what this app can do, and it's similar to Uber in the hospitality world. It's also in the manufacturing world. They kind of shifted. They actually started out in the hospitality world as a gig economy worker, where people could go on and sign up, get registered through the Bacon app. They basically do an application process to make sure that they've got the skills and qualifications. And then we can go on and post jobs, positions, whether it's stewarding, operations, food and beverage, and those employees of Bacon can go on and accept those positions. It's a little unique and different than what we're used to, but again, it's thinking outside the box. And I think that, again, the trends of Uber and all of those other types of gig economy and gig workers are taking off. And it gives a flexibility. We've got several people that are holding full-time jobs that are coming in just working 1 or 2 shifts a week. So that's been a benefit for us, and it's been part of the solution. Another part of that solution would be we're looking at, we've instituted a referral bonus program. So if an employee refers another employee, that's set up so the employee that refers somebody would get $100 upon the hiring of that employee, and then an additional $100 on the successful completion of 90 days with no corrective actions, no issues or anything there. And then they would get an additional 100, and the employee being onboarded would get a $200 bonus as well. So we have a retention bonus program as well that we have instituted, and that's to try to maintain the current staff we have. We understand that the market is right now, I've got everything from Amazon paying $15 an hour to McDonald's starting at $13 an hour. So we're continuing to look at our wages, but we want to maintain the staff we've got. We want to keep the high level, the quality, and the institutional knowledge that we have on our team. So what we've done is we've instituted $1 an hour for every hour worked for hourly employees for non-exempt, to have an additional hour between now for every hour worked, and it would be the September 30th date. So on their October 15th paycheck, for every hour they work between June 1st in that date, they will get an additional $1 per hour. So that is also another part of the puzzle as far as our solutions that we're looking at. We're even going down as far as looking at reentry program options, seeing if there's any good employees that are currently coming out of either an institution or somewhere where basically they've been on a work release program, or somewhere where they have a good record where they're being worked with through that organization to be reentered into the workforce. So we're looking into those as well as wage evaluations. We're having a wage evaluation actually coming back, I believe, today or tomorrow from Ameriben to make sure we're competitive in the market for Boise, where rates are for different positions. We've looked at hotels. We've looked at other venues as well, similar venues, into what they're paying for these employees. And we've even looked as far as something that I know that the Grove Hotel just did, and I want to find out how it went, but they did an internal job fair, and we talked about doing one of those as well, having potential candidates come in, see the facility, tour the facility, kind of show them what we do, maybe have a little food and beverage taster for them so they can get a taste of kind of what we do from that end. So again, these are just some of the solutions that we've put into place for the full puzzle. Has got many pieces to it, and we're taking a look at that as a whole rather than one-offs or individual things as the solution. Any questions on the staffing side before I move on from that? Okay. Next would lead me to budgets, because it's that time of the year. The team starts working on budgets every year in July. So we continue to try to, 2020 didn't give us any sort of indicators as far as historical, and we could go off of. So we are taking a kind of a fresh look, but I think that we're seeing closer to what we saw trends in 2019 and even an uptick from that. So again, we had a record first quarter in 2020, and I think we're anticipating 2022 being record or close to, depending on some of the types of events that we have. In July looking extremely strong. We're also noticing that there's compression that's happening in the entire region. I've talked to several people within my own association and within our region, and they've off the record said I've even dropped Boise Center's name to some of their clients that are just like, we can't go anywhere. Where can we go and have a meeting? Well, they've had and they don't want to do that, but at the end of the day, they've had to do that to try to take care of their clients. So we continue to see some of the compression, and I think especially regionally, there's potential opportunity for more business there that will continue to pick up. The space and the staff will be our only challenge as to what that can hold. Like I spoke about, wages are something we're taking a close look at for budgeting. Obviously, the demand and wages are also something that's going to make us take a look at our current pricing. One of the things I've done through the association I belong to, which is IAVM, the International Association of Venue Managers, we have a forum, so it's kind of like a thread you can go post stuff to. And I posted if there was any venues, I set up a convention center, set our size, how we operate, what I have in-house food and beverage, I got in-house AV. And I've so far had 20 replies to that thread of people that are willing to share pricing information, rate structures. And it's not so much that we're looking at specific rates as much as the philosophy behind how that they built their structure and their rates. One of the things that we're trying to avoid as we see the writing on the wall, the cost of labor in Boise is going up. So that means the rates of things are going to have to go up as well, is to not nickel and dime. So with our clients, we're really kind of taking a holistic approach at what others are doing. And I'm starting to see some great trends or some really good ideas come out of that group that we're all sharing information. And some of that is the idea, and even one of our own event managers suggested it, security is becoming more and more the norm and the expectation for events. So a lot of venues are just building that into the room rent rather than making them feel that they got to pay for this additional guard. It's just part of the services that you get when you rent the building. So we are taking a look at that kind of philosophy or approach to our budgeting and to how we're going to do our room rates or the services that we supply. Any questions as to that so far? Okay. As far as capital planning, that's another portion of our budget. We've done several projects this year for capital planning, and we appreciate the board's support. We also scaled back several of our future projects, just knowing after COVID, we had a $6 million ceiling project on the books that we pulled off. We're going to tackle some of the safety concerns we had in the ceiling at that point in time as far as rigging goes. But other than that, we're going to leave that ceiling as is and then address that in the future as business continues to come back. And hopefully we're having record years that will help us get to that. For the larger capital projects on the books for 22, just some of the things that we've got currently that are taking up some of the larger dollar amounts. We have a Biamp sound system upgrade for our west building. This building is over 30 years old, so the sound system is needing some tweaking and upgrades to our Biamp. Escalator deep cleans are coming up on 6 years for the building at this point in time. COVID is a year in there. They usually say about every 5 years, so we kind of pushed it out an additional year. Those are very, very expensive to have them deep cleaned. They pull the steps out, they clean all the grooves out, they make sure mechanically everything is sound. And then we're having HVAC units replaced in Boise Center West. We had a new chiller 2 years ago replaced, but you guys supported that and I appreciate that. But now as the HVAC units are different controllers up in the ceilings that basically divide out air handler units for the different rooms. So the cooling and the heating of those different rooms. We're starting to see aging out on all of those, and those are on the books. Operable walls in 110. If you've noticed, I don't know if those of you that have had a chance to take a look in 110 and 120, we did some renovations, wall covering, carpet, and in 120 we did the air walls, and it was actually due to the demand in events that we scaled back the 110 air walls this year because we had so many events booking back to back that we thought we might not be able to squeeze them in and not impact our client. So we pushed 110's air walls off into next year as well on the capital plan. So those are some of the larger items. The team is super busy. I am very, very proud of the team we have. And again, I wouldn't have them if it wasn't for you guys. So we are very thankful for that and appreciate that. And I can't say that enough. With that, I'll take questions.
I guess back to the staffing, are you working with Boise State at all?
Yes, we've always historically had a large portion of Boise State students as our staff, especially from the food and beverage side. Currently, they're not in school. So that has been a big hit to us as far as the ability to be able to come. They are coming back in, I believe, August 19th, 20th, somewhere in that range is their first day. So for us, that's timing is actually perfect. And we're going to be doing some training and some stuff around that. But that's right before Jaden DeLuca. That's right before Albertson's open. So again, we think timing on this is going to be good for us to be able to pick up those along with our referral program. I think the word will get out as students are back in the dorms. So that opportunity, I think, is going to exist again for us to. Other questions? Appreciate your time today.
And we'll have Cliff, Director of Marketing. He also has communications that reports to him, and the Visitor Center.
Yes, but first I'd like to just recognize that Mary Michael's not here today. Mary Michael's taking care of her father in Florida that's dealing with some medical issues. And so just know that her work is represented in this report. She is working long distance as well, so she is able to help keep up with a few projects. I'll be referring to this handout that I placed at each of your desks, and I'll include it for those that are on the call. I'll give it to Pam electronically so that she can include it in the minutes. But these are a few highlights of our last quarter and some of the information of some of the projects we're working on coming up here in the next quarter. The first section is a couple of honors that we've received. I know Pat will mention this in the upcoming report in the board meeting, but we've received the Smart Stars Award from Smart Meetings Magazine again. So for the third year in a row, we've received a Smart Stars Award. We've also received a new award that it's not in Pat's presentation, but I wanted to make mention of it. Facilities and Destinations Magazine has given us a Prime Site Award. And it's an award that's based on their readership. And also we provided them some information on all of our COVID safety measures and all of our, some of the service we were able to do in the community. And so we were thrilled that we were going to be recognized with that publication. It does come with a feature, and so we'll, in both publications in the month of July, we'll have some editorial that will help kind of tell our story and give us some more exposure. And so that's what Mary Michael and I are working on, is we're working to make sure that the facility is getting exposure. Exposure tells the story, and hopefully exposure makes that phone ring. That's our ultimate goal, is to get that phone to ring and pique someone's interest and their curiosity to make them want to come to Boise and enjoy the facility and the services that we offer. Next, we've been running what we call our Now campaign. Coming out of COVID in January, February, we ran a campaign that looked like this, that said, "We're open." Really focused on the open fact. And now the animation changed. We changed the word from open to now. We extended that campaign, and thanks to the district for allowing us to do that. But that campaign has continued and will run through the end of this month. And basically what it's reinforcing is to the local community that we are open, that we're open now, we're ready for business, we're ready for your calls. And so it has done a lot for the local side of local businesses and organizations calling us and making inquiries on our event calendar. Like I said, that was a local campaign. Mostly if you look at Boise Dev or you look at IBR, chances are you've seen that ad pop up. So like I say, that is sunsetting here in next week or so next 10 days or so. One of the things we're working on too, we're working with Allie, and you notice Allie's not on this agenda because she's making a presentation in the next meeting. But Allie and I are working on some new trade show materials. And one of the things we decided to investigate is working with Ward Hooper, who's a local artist and has a very specific style of his artwork and his images. And so we are working with him. We've gone through phase one, made some edits and made some changes and some U-turns, and we're back on track. We're asking him to come up with 3 concepts for us, and we'll share those with you in our next work session. But just some new creative, some new imagery to help really promote Boise and Boise Center. I know Allie is working on using one of these images in the upcoming Connect Marketplace, which is in the end of August. So we're fast tracking that as much as we can to get the designs done and the concepts done. And then we'll go into production for those backdrops. And usually what they are is there's like a 10 by 8 backdrop behind the booth, and we'll just hopefully attract some new eyes and new attention. Sometimes it's nice to mix it up and really refresh that. So we're excited to be working with Ward. He had some great ideas, and we really just want to, like I say, promote the destination and get some new conversations started. the one thing that we're doing with that artwork too is we're going to not just let it be a backdrop and be done. We're going to take it and actually develop some more materials with it, whether it's e-blasts or whether it's premium items or whether it's printed materials. We just want to take that and kind of develop that, and so it's more of a theme and a concept rather than just a one and done. We want to bring it to life, and so even some web imagery might come from that piece as well. Mary Michael has been very diligent in working on the district website and kind of doing some updates on the district website, especially as it comes to the aquatic center. The frequently asked questions that are there is courtesy of Pat and Mary Michael working collaboratively and getting that done. And we've also put up the CSL report that you've seen that gives a good broad brushstroke of that project and how it fits into this market. So Mary Michael kind of has those numbers, and I don't have them to report like how many people have clicked on them, but they're there. So if we can, as board members, you can refer people to go there and actually get more information about the project. So next report, we'll have Mary Michael give some numbers and let you know kind of how many eyeballs are looking at those resources. We have a couple of new advertising initiatives that we're trying to always kind of mix it up. We in our media mix, just to make sure that we're fresh, we're into some new places, that we're not stale. If something's not working, we'll make a U-turn. But a couple of new ones here I wanted to mention. We are on the MPI Meeting Planners International website, something that we haven't done before. They approached us with a kind of an opportunity, and it wasn't like they were kind of having a fire sale. Those are good in some cases. We never really have done any of the industry publications because of cost. Cost is really, sometimes it just prevents you from going, and you kind of just feel like maybe you could spend dollars somewhere else. This opportunity came in like at $5,000 for a year's agreement, and to be on their homepage and to have that kind of exposure. It does rotate, so we're with other vendors. I think it's about 15 different vendors that we rotate with, but we've never been there. So it's once again, hopefully new eyes, new opportunities, new inquiries. And so we'll just look at that. We'll monitor that. We'll look at and see what the how many calls we're getting and how many clicks we get, and if we get RFPs from it, and we'll evaluate it from there. Another thing that we're doing for this year, we have never advertised in a publication called Associations and Conventions. Once again, it's kind of one of those cost factors, but we were able to work a deal. They came to us with a package that was which was much more attractive, and so we were able to actually put a 3-ad package together, and the first ad has run in June. So we're excited about that. Just like I say, once again, new exposure, new areas and that's heavy associations. That goes to quite a large subscription base, and so we're able to once again tap into hopefully, and that's my job in working with Allie is to make sure that we're getting that photo right, we're getting that exposure, we're getting them to stop by the trade show booth and go, I saw your ad, or I've heard about it, I'm hearing about Boise, or I'm curious, hey, tell me about this. So it really, all the marketing tools work together to ultimately get that looking. Next on the worksheet is an outline of the next quarter's advertising initiatives. We have different ads coming up in smart meetings and small market meetings. MNC, the Idaho Business Review. So there's several in there that, like I said, we're always trying to look for exposure. And you'll see that next to the name of the publication, you'll also see kind of what the feature is. So usually we're trying to get an Idaho story. We're trying to get a Pacific Northwest story. We're trying to get a Boise story to enhance not just the ad just stuck on a page, but we're trying to bring it to life with that story. So if someone dives into that story and to learn more about our market or about our hotels or about our amenities, we are certainly there to remind them that we do have a convention center and we are here to help them. Working with the marketing plan, we didn't place all of our media this year all at once. In the past, we have done that, but based on COVID and some publications restarting. Some publications haven't come back. We didn't place all at once, and so we'll place our third and fourth quarters. Like I say, we'll do the evaluations. We'll make sure that they're working for us, and we are getting editorial for any of our placements. And in July, we're halfway through the year, so we'll work with Drake Cooper on all of our digital media, and we'll look at those reports. We'll see how they're tracking. If they're tracking, we'll change things, which is nice because we're not stuck. We have that flexibility to move and to adjust and place either additional ads and or move like some of that digital around to different channels that might be working better. So, sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's LinkedIn. It just depends on where we're seeing success, and that success tells a story, and we'll continue to follow that and chase that. So that's a quick overview. I know we're busy helping with a lot of projects. We have our all staff meeting coming up. We have the chamber golf tournament coming up. So we get these little special little projects that lay in, and we help take care of those too. So we're working hard to, like I say, keep Boise Center front and center and making sure that we're staying out there.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair, Cliff, we're open now. I come to your booth in Des Moines or wherever you are next, and I have a group. And what are the remaining COVID restrictions that we have? Or if we don't have any, what if I, as a meeting planner, want to have some?
Our event managers know how to answer those questions, and what basically we're doing is whatever the group wants, we're happy to accommodate. We're following the current guidelines, which are if you've been vaccinated, you don't need a mask. If you haven't been, we ask politely that you wear one. But we're working with each client individually. We're no longer doing separate room sets, like 3 at a table or 4 at a table versus 10 at a table. We're back to our normal operations. But if a client has specific requests and they want masks, they want hand sanitizers, they want groups, spread out, then there's a cost associated with that now. It's not just a given. But I think our event managers probably can speak better than I can about how those questions are asked. In fact, just speaking with Stacey Adams, we're tweaking. The information is still out there. It's still on our website. We still keep information about COVID and protocols out there, but we're morphing it. As things change, we'll morph it back, and it's there and available. But I asked Stacey Adams, our senior event manager, if they needed any print materials or collateral to send out to clients. What are the requests? Are they getting requests back? Hey, we want some flyers, or what are your rules? And she said they've gotten zero. I mean, clients are not asking for anything anymore. So, but we're prepared. If a special group has special needs, then we'll address them at that time. Does that wrap it up?
Yeah, we actually have, we have one client in July remaining who wants full protocols. They want the thermal imaging cameras, they want physical distancing, full protocols. So it's yes, the answer is yes. Chris Lochner has, internally, we have the team, the service team, the food and beverage service team wearing masks only because Chris feels it's prudent among the service staff. Certainly respecting people's space, but the clients are really in charge of what protocols they'd like to see. But of late, they have all, like I said, with the exception of the one remaining in July, they have all said we're fine, even with the service team. So the service team is an internal decision, not an external request. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you.
We don't have, again, with Ally and Carrie being on the regular agenda, that's really it from a staff side. But you know, if you all have questions about anything further, i.e. the protocols or what we're looking like for the fall, July is looking great, very strong. August, has already been alluded to, we have 2 very large events in August, but we're busy. I don't want to steal Carrie and Ally's thunder for sure, but 2022 is unbelievable. It's exactly that which we had hoped was going to come to fruition. And July, July traditionally is our slowest month of the year. We have back-to-back conventions in July of 22, so that every week we have conventions in-house. And I think Cody alluded to the fact that, you know, there's some room for some weekend, you know, hopefully we'll get some weddings and that sort of thing. Like, I mean, we don't do a lot of wedding business here, but we'll do 2 or 3 receptions a summer. We're really looking forward to the budget process for 22. But again, the fall of this year, there's not much room at the end. And you asked about BSU. We had some BSU students who were working with us prior to them, you know, leaving for the summer. They were going home. And the message was, well, you will be back, you know, or when will you be back? And they said about August 1st, because they want to lock in leases and that sort of thing for apartments and whatnot and look for jobs. But they said, absolutely. And we said, okay, make sure you bring friends with you because we're definitely going to need them. But they've been a great resource. And again, most of the part-time staff that we have, we need to be at 200 employees in August, and we were at 240 before COVID. So we need to be back there. We have that strong of a fall. So we definitely are going to need them. And, you know, with luck, we'll be there. So.
Madam Chair, can I go off subject? I see Carrie Westergaard came here and I've been wanting to ask her a question for a while.
Do you want to ask it privately or do you want to ask?
No, I think we just need to know. You know, we're pursuing this aquatics facility. And there are provisions where they get credit for room nights, you know, revenue. How do we track room nights to a specific event?
Well, it depends. I mean, I think with an aquatic event, it'll probably be easy because they would have, you know, the registrants and they probably have room blocks, you know, where we would help them with that part. And then we do a pickup report, it's called afterwards, where the hotel reports back to us how many people blocked or how many rooms blocked under their room block. So, you know, with an aquatic event, it would be easier than just a leisure type event that doesn't sell tickets.
Thank you.
Anything else? Got some time. So adjourn
We
for,
could adjourn until 2 o'clock.
yep, and then come back at 2, so. Motion to adjourn,
Move to adjourn.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay, adjourn.